Arne Slot, na 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 na. Arne Slot, na 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 na. Arne Slot, na 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 na. Your new Liverpool manager, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Baldy himself, Big Steve, Van Gerwen, whoever you want to call him. It is Mr. Arne Slot, who's going to be taking the role as Liverpool coach going forward. And I'm here to talk about why this is a good move for Liverpool Football Club, or at least probably better than what some of the other candidates could have been. Is there scepticism? Yes, of course there is. And the reason why is because I think Liverpool fans built up this idea of a Xabi Alonso type figure, of even an Amorim. I think we got sort of invested into the idea of Alonso and then Amorim. And that was going to be the manager, and, you know, we'd got our hopes up on that. And then I think the disappointment might have came when, you know, you miss out on Alonso, you miss out on Amorim. Well, it's disingenuous to say we missed out on both. Alonso wasn't fully in the conversations with us anyway. And second of all, he clarified he was going to stay at Bayer Leverkusen, but that's not necessarily rejecting Liverpool. That's just more so saying I'm going to spend another year in this project. Plus, there was no offer that was made. And Amorim, there was discussions, there was talks, there was meetings. But is that to say that he was number one option guaranteed all the way? I'm not too sure. And you know, what did Amorim ask for? I don't think it would have been anything too extreme, but it could have been about the details of the contract that they didn't agree on. But that still means Amorim was interested. He would have most certainly taken the job, but I think Liverpool might have thought, well, actually, you might not be what we want. So it depends on who that decision was made. I think the club would have made the decision not to go ahead on Amorim, even if we had a meeting with him first. Then comes Arne Slot. And Arne Slot met the criteria. Just because he might have been interviewed later doesn't mean he's not the best man available who we could have gotten. And I think Arne Slot or Amorim, this type of manager, you know, a manager with a ceiling, a manager with something to prove, was a much better option than us getting going down a Spurs route of getting a Jose Mourinho or an Antonio Conte. You know, these are absolute certified winners in their own right, but can they come to Liverpool and build us a team the way that we do it? Not necessarily. They have achieved some of their greatest things at clubs with the greatest resources. You know, when Jose Mourinho, any club he's sort of been at, have been the best club in that country. You could maybe say when he went to Roma, Tottenham, that's a bit different. But I mean, when Jose Mourinho was prime Jose Mourinho, you know, Porto, best team in Portugal, but granted still won the Champions League. Went to Chelsea, did great things with Chelsea. And just because they might have been one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sides in terms of resources in the country doesn't mean it weren't a good job. But I don't think Jose Mourinho in this present day can be a Liverpool manager. I really don't. I just don't think that he brings us any sort of... I don't think there's any improvement that can be done there. Now, with Arne Slot, there's a project, and with a project comes hope. And with hope, maybe could Arne Slot be more successful than Jurgen Klopp? I struggle to believe so, and here's why. It's nothing to do with Arne Slot as a manager. And to speak about Arne Slot, I think he's a good coach. He seems to really connect with the fans. Feyenoord fans absolutely adore that man. He's achieved things with Feyenoord that they hadn't achieved for a very, very long time. I think it's like one league title in 20 years or something like that. Sounds like a bit of a team, doesn't it? Wait a bit longer. One title in 30. Got to take the shots sometimes, you know what I mean? Got to take the one title in 30 odd years shout. But basically a team that had been deprived of success, won the odd cups here and there, but never really went on to be a consistently good team. Arne Slot made them a consistently good team. Arne Slot got the young players promoted into the first team, which is a good thing because any manager that advocates for the youth is great. That means it works well with Liverpool and what we're trying to achieve. And more specifically, what Michael Edwards is trying to achieve. Michael Edwards is obviously trying to build a football club that breeds off of youngsters and makes a lot of money. The only concern with that is that seems to be a model that works brilliantly for Dortmund and, you know, teams like Brighton and these type of things. But you notice Dortmund and Brighton are quite different because Dortmund are much bigger. But Dortmund are a team that don't tend to win much, and that they're in a Champions League final and these type of things, but they don't win many league titles. They don't, you know, if they get to a Champions League final, they're not tending to win it, even though I'm supporting Dortmund. I'm just saying, are we aiming to be a Dortmund that makes a lot of friggin' money for the investment that we're putting in, or are we looking to be a Man City? And I think based on the initial start of this project, we're probably heading more towards the Dortmund side, I'm not going to lie. And the only reason as well is because I also think Michael Edwards understands the value in having players who were under 30. It's why he wanted to, or it's why he was open to the idea of Jordan Henderson leaving. It's why he was probably open to the idea of James Milner leaving, but then Klopp would interfere. And a lot of Michael Edwards' decisions and the direction he wanted to take the club wasn't allowed to be done because of what Jurgen Klopp was interfering with. And people make this big malarkey between Klopp and Edwards. It's just, they had disagreements, and Edwards wanted something new. He's now back because this is what he wanted. He wanted full reins of the whole football club, and now he's got it. And Arne Slot is his first choice. That's his first appointment. It's not bad. And the reason why it's not bad is because the credentials are there. The question is, can he do it at an amplified level? But unfortunately, you know, the all-time greats of managers had to start somewhere. All of them had to start somewhere. Some managers start in Japan. Like Arsene Wenger. Well, I don't know if he started in Japan, but he came from Japan. And, you know, there's other managers as well. Jose Mourinho was once at Porto and these type of things. We're just talking about similar standards, but they were identified, they were the next big thing, and they became the next big thing. Can Arne Slot do that? Maybe he won't go on and win 10 Premier Leagues in a row. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen with these owners. I don't think we ever have the capabilities of winning year in, year out with these owners. But with a good coach, we could win every once in a while. And I think Arne Slot is good enough to help us win every once in a while. We've got to understand what Liverpool is. Liverpool is not what it was under Shankly. It would be great if it was that. It'd be great if we got to there, but it's not that right now. And Arne Slot, I'd be surprised if he comes in and turns the world to like winning trophies all the time. But I would like people to give him a chance. I would like people to not write him off before he's begun. He's signed the contracts now. He is the Liverpool coach. It's as simple as that. And you know what? I'm very happy with that. Very happy with it. Happier with him than other candidates. Think he's going to get the club. Think that he's got a personality that suits this squad specifically. So it's not going to be such a huge transition in terms of like, oh my goodness, we've just gone from a Jurgen Klopp to an Antonio Conte, like a more serious figure. Not that Antonio Conte was ever in the show, but just very different. But then I also ask, you know, would have you preferred someone else? You know, I heard about Thomas Tuchel, I heard about Jose Mourinho, and I kind of identify those two gentlemen with cup winners. Not necessarily league title contenders, just my opinion. Once upon a time, Jose Mourinho was, but I don't necessarily see him as that anymore. Some people mention, like, you know, Thomas Tuchel. Again, don't ever see him as a league winning manager. He won the league with Bayern once on goal difference. Failed this season, but they were up against one of the greatest sides Europe's ever seen. Bayer Leverkusen are amazing. So Thomas Tuchel would have been good, but he's not what I would have wanted. I'm much more up for the idea of giving a manager who's got a ceiling, a manager who's got something to prove, a manager who really wanted this job. That's cool. That's really cool. So, happy with Arne Slot. Great reference when it comes to the fans in Netherlands talking about Arne Slot and what he's done and how he's done it. And the good thing is he's coming into a football club that isn't as fragile as when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal or United left... Fergie left United. The club isn't as fragile, so you'd like to hope the drop-off won't be as huge, but don't be expecting league title runs and all this straight away. We've got a young squad. It's a very different squad. It's now Arne Slot's squad. Let's see what he does with it, but give him time. Let's not do this Chelsea thing or this United thing. Yeah, to be fair, United have done better with giving their managers a bit of time, like at least 2 years, but Chelsea especially, you know, give them time. Don't just kick them out at the first sign of it. If it comes in and he's an absolute tragedy and he's saying weird statements, he's falling out with the squad, that's different. But if he's just getting a few bad results here, but he's getting it right in other areas, give him a chance. Let's see how he... What I'm looking forward to seeing with Arne Slot is how is he going to build that relationship with the fans? Because he's already on the back foot. He's replacing one of the greatest managers the Premier League's ever seen. And I am concerned with a modern day fan base because football's very different to 2015. 2015, we got one of the greatest managers in the game with teams who weren't necessarily the best teams in the world based on resources, but they're still able to get something out of them. And the fan base would have been more welcoming. In this, what is now 9 years later, how is that going to look online with the sort of increase of the online perception, and then also the local fans, what are they going to think going from Klopp to Slot? So it's a lot of questions. But let's just say we've got a new manager. It's pretty much next to confirmed. The contracts have been signed. It's a done deal. Klopp is gone, Slot is in, and you know what? I'm excited for the new process. I'm excited for it. I'm going to miss Klopp. I wish we could have kept him for 10 more years, but it was the right time for him because he said so. It was the right time for us because he said so. And Arne Slot, it seems like the right time for him to take this opportunity. Let's hope he grabs it by the bollocks. And also, all this malarkey around Erik ten Hag and Netherlands managers' track records in England, bollocks. Complete and utter bollocks. I don't think it's based on nationality. I don't think it's based on any of these things. I think it's based on the fundamentals that you bring combined with the club that you're at. And Ten Hag came into Man United and he tried to run the football team himself. Hence why they got Lisandro Martinez, good signing. Anthony, bad signing. Casemiro, bad signing. And the reason why that was bad is because you're paying $350k a week on a 5-year deal for a 32-year-old. That was a bad signing. A lot of bad investments in Ten Hag's time by Ten Hag himself. Arne Slot is coming in to be the coach. He's identified as a good coach in Holland. He's proven by his track record, winning the league last season, and then following up this season with a cup. He is a good coach. And he works well with young players, which is right where we are in our project. You think of some, I could list all of the young players we've got. The amount of talent we've got at an under 25 level is genuinely unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. And everything in between, I'm very, very excited for. So let's just see how it goes. Even like the backroom staff, I'm excited to see how that all progresses. Thought it was worth doing a video. Check out my video earlier on the players that I would sell and who I would replace those players with. And until the next video, people, have a good day. I'm on the Big 6 Extra later on Playback, the app. Go tune in. Much love.